Hi everybody. Today we're going to be talking about elections, specifically what happens when money is applied to elections. Elections are thought of as a pure thing. In school we do elections for different stuff and it's very pure. The person who gets the most votes wins the election. At a larger scale, let's say the United States, 316 million people, things get a little bit more difficult, a little bit more hairy. Let's look into this a little bit. What happens when money is applied to something pure like an election? Does applying that money to it change it? First of all, to answer this question, we need to know, why do we need money for elections? Why do you need to have money? First, you need to have name recognition. You need to know that people need to know who you are. And that's done through the radio, through the internet, through magazines, through mailing people stuff, through buttons. But the most important thing here is this one right here, which is TV commercials. People watch TV more than they do anything else. It's an American institution, American pastime. That's how we get our name out the most. And TV commercials, as it turns out, cost a lot of money. You also need staff, people to actually run your campaign, make decisions, and help you out. All this adds up to needing more money. More money means you have a better chance to win. The more person that has more money usually is the person who wins. Not always, but a lot of the time. Where does the money they get come from? Well, a lot of it comes from small contributions. Contributions means someone giving money or contributing money to a cause. $5 to $10, $20, $50, small contributions from individuals. Another one is from wealthy people and families. Wealthy people and families are the top 1% of the population. They donate large amounts of money. A lot of times they, in fact, become the candidates. And their own families chip in a lot of money to the campaign. Sometimes they'll spend a large part of their fortune just to try to win a political office. Another source is political action committees, or PACs. Political action committees are formed around different issues and they support the candidates. They are organizations that give money. Another one is subsidies from the government. You can think of a subsidy as a opposite of a tax. Taxes, the government takes money. Subsidies, the government gives money. In this case, they give money to people to run elections. So who cares about money? Why does it matter? Well, let's think of it this way. You guys have probably heard the idea that you could grow up to be president. Well, if you don't have enough money, maybe you can't grow up to be president. So obviously money does matter. You need a lot of money to win the presidency as well. Another way to look at this that's probably a bad thing is that we have an upper class in this country, a middle class, and a lower class. And what happens when the ruling class, the people making the political decisions in the government, what happens when they're only from the upper class? That can be a bad thing. When this class, only the upper class, makes decisions about society, you have to ask yourself, do they know what it's like to be a poor person? Do they know what decisions to make to help lower class and middle class families? If only the upper class is the ones making the decisions, maybe they're out of touch with what we want, which is not what democracy is all about. Democracy is supposed to be we vote and we get what we want to run our society with. Also, one thing to think about here is, how does the businesses in this country, how does business cast its vote? Because when you think about it, people cast votes, not business. But it turns out business does actually end up casting its vote quite forcefully. How they cast their vote is by controlling the money in the elections. So corporations end up having more of an influence, and businesses more of an influence than people in elections, because they end up influencing the people and how they vote. A question here, how can we prevent corruption? Corruption being taking something pure and ruining it. And in this case it's elections. How can we prevent corruption in this system is the question. Well, FEC is something the government set up to catch corruption. It's the Federal Election Commission. What they do is they make you say or disclose who gives you your money, so it's not a shadowy thing. They also put limits on how much people can give. They also limit what you can spend it on, so you can't take someone's contribution and go buy yourself a steak dinner with it or take a trip around the world. You can't do that. So the FEC looks at all that stuff. But here we see that there are maybe businesses have found a loophole around the FEC. And in this case, it's something called the FEC versus Citizens United. There was a court case that went all the way to the Supreme Court. In this case, the FEC, the Federal Election Commission, lost. The court ruled that giving money is free speech. So if I want to, I have my free speech rights to say whatever I want. Maybe I'd say something like, I don't like President Obama. I have the free speech to say that. They said that free speech also means giving money. So if I want to give money to the Boy Scouts of America, if I want to give money to a Satanist group, or whatever the case may be, I can do that because it's free speech. Giving money is free speech. That's what the Supreme Court said. And there's no limit on free speech. Then they also said corporations are people, and corporations can give money, and giving money is free speech. So you might say, well, corporations aren't people, but that's not what the court found. The court found that corporations in their situation are people, and they can give as much money as they want. That is the loophole that they found to get around this whole thing. Because remember, one of the things you can do, or one of the things the FEC limits is how much money you give, limits on campaign contributions. But what if it's free speech? Well, they said if it's free speech, there is no limit, so corporations can give as much money as they want. A lot of people thought that was a bad decision. Another aspect of this whole thing is hard money versus soft money. Hard money is contributions given directly to candidates for an election, give directly to them. Soft money is different. Soft money is contributions given to the party. So I'm going to give my money to the Republican Party to do whatever they want. So FEC limits hard money. FEC limits how much you can give to a person, but they don't limit how much you give to the party. So that's a loophole that they found where the parties can say, okay, we're taking the money and we're not going to use it for the election, but they end up using it for the election in some kind of sideways, sneaky ways. So this hard money, soft money thing is another way to get around these laws. More corruption here. This is an idea of something called win-win politics. Okay, here's the two winners: the politicians or the candidate, same person, and the companies that give money to the candidates. Those are the two winning sides. The losers are, well, everybody else. Let's figure out how this works. First, the business gives the politician money for the campaign. That is how the politician wins. Remember, politicians are worried mostly about winning. They don't care about much else. They care about keeping their power. Okay, so the businesses have all the money. They give the politicians money for their campaign. But the business doesn't just give the money. They want something in return, like it's a deal. Okay, and what the politician gives the businesses are favorable laws, tax breaks. Okay, tax breaks meaning the business might need to pay $100 million, and the politician will say, well, when I get into office, I'll only make you pay $50 million. So in this case, the business wins. They get $50 million off their taxes. The politician wins because they get to get more money for their election, and then they win the election against whoever they're going up against. Because remember, you need money to win elections. The public they lose. Remember, we lose. We get bad decisions. The decisions don't favor us. They favor the businesses. The politicians only care about getting reelected, and the corporations, they need the corporations to do so they lose. All right, this is money in elections, and I'm focusing here on the bad parts about it, but remember, not everything about elections is bad. These are kind of the uglier parts of our democracy, and it's important to also know that stuff so that hopefully your generation can fix it. The end.